Hello, everyone. Welcome to the latest episode of the CareerLabs podcast, the place where we break down how to accelerate and grow your career, giving you ideas, technology, systems, and ways to just make it so much easier for you to achieve this. Right. So today we're going to be talking about why most careers stall. And I'll give you a hint. It's not because you're not working hard, because God knows you are. So let me start with a conversation I had recently. I was speaking to a professional, someone who is very senior, very good at their job, and would have been seen as a high achiever, talented, experienced, doing everything right as you should on paper. And he said something to me that stuck with me. He said, Femi, I don't understand it. I'm delivering. I'm reliable. I'm doing more than what's expected. But I feel like my career has just stopped. And the truth is, he's not alone. I've had that same conversation with dozens of professionals, people who are working hard, doing everything they've been told to do. They have their objectives, they achieve them, they hit them. If they're business owners or small to medium business owners, they've got things they're trying to achieve and they're ticking off on them, but they still feel stuck. Stuck means when you've lost momentum, you get that feeling like it's Groundhog Day. You're doing the same thing over and over again. You feel like you've seen this movie so many times. You wake up in the morning and you don't feel like you have a clear direction or goal you're trying to hit in your career. You wake up in the morning and there's no oomph, there's no vavavoom, there's no energy. Why does this happen? So we'll be talking about that today. Welcome to CareerLabs, where we're going to explore how to grow your career intentionally and not accidentally. So, because we are operating in a different world today, the global economy is shifting. Organizations are under pressure to deliver more with less. And some of them, it's for many number of reasons. GDP of companies is shrinking, of the countries is shrinking. Companies are holding on to money, so they're not investing in projects that bring in more talent. Companies are trying to save money, they're trying to survive. And for some companies, they've heard so much about AI, they believe AI is a magic bullet that will save costs. So even before implementing it, they're trying to realize the gains. And leaders are constantly asking, who is actually creating value here? In this environment, working hard is no longer enough. Being reliable is no longer enough. Even being good at your job is no longer a guarantee. The professionals who progress are the ones who expand their value, increase their visibility, they influence outcomes, and they position themselves strategically within an organization. So in this series, I want to give you a simple model that you can use immediately. And I'm going to call it unimaginatively the CareerLabs 4 drivers of career acceleration. And over the next few weeks, I'm going to be addressing different themes within the career acceleration space. So if your career feels slow, feels stuck, or it feels uncertain, one of these is usually missing. Number one, value. Are you solving meaningful problems that matter? I put a post on LinkedIn recently, and you can check me out there, Femi Akinyemi, on LinkedIn. And I posted about someone who was really like a mentor told me in my early days of my career. It was when I had made the switch to consulting. And I was in such a hurry to get paid the big bucks. And I kept trying to say, what do I need to do? And he said, Femi, you've got to give value. You've got to provide a service. You've got to make them see that you bring a difference. And that's the first thing here, value. Are you solving meaningful problems that matter? Get what I said there? Meaningful problems, because there's problems everywhere in organizations, but they're not all created equally. And do they matter? If you can find a problem that is meaningful and it matters and you can solve it, you are creating value. The second point is visibility. Do the right people know the impact you're creating? I cannot count the number of people I've spoken to that tell me my job is to come and do my job, keep my head down and stay out of trouble. What tends to happen for a lot of these people is they do the job and someone else takes the glory. You have to toot your own horn. You have to blow your own trumpet, because God knows no one else is going to blow it for you unless you ask them to. So do the right people know that you're adding value? Does the manager know? Does the project sponsor know? Do the key stakeholders know? Does your network know? LinkedIn, for example. Are you let people know the value you add? Number 3, influence. Are you shaping decisions or just executing tasks? The higher you go, or the more you aspire to go higher, the more you need to start shaping decisions, the way things are implemented, the way things are solved, the process for getting things done, ideas, strategies, implementing, rather than just being someone who executes tasks. In effect, are you an order taker or a menu creator? You've got to make up your mind, because these are the ways you stand out from the pack. And lastly, positioning. Are you seen as someone ready for the next level? People talk a lot about fake it till you make it, and we're not necessarily talking about fake it, but your mind has to arrive at the destination before your body does. Science kind of philosophical, but what it's really trying to say is you have to have seen yourself performing this role. You have to behave like you perform this role. You have to act in ways that indicate to people, that show that you are ready for the responsibility and role before they give it to you. Sometimes people think that going the extra mile is trying to show others up, but sometimes going the extra mile helps leaders within the organization know that you're ready to take on more responsibility, and that sometimes means staying a bit longer to make sure the work gets done. You don't get the luxury of just signing off and not being worried or concerned or invested in the job. And that is positioning yourself in such a way that shows that you are ready to take on more responsibility. Many professionals, most of them, focus on just one of these. If it's value, they work hard, they deliver, they stay busy. But that's the main thing. They just focus on value. They don't focus on visibility, they don't focus on influence, and they don't focus on positioning. So they work hard, they deliver, they stay busy. But career growth happens when all 4 work together. When one is missing, your career can stall, even if you're doing great work. So let's start with the biggest misconception in careers: the belief that if I work hard enough, I will get promoted. Now, don't get me wrong. Value matters. You must deliver. You must perform. You must be reliable. That is the foundation on which your career is built. Delivery, performance, reliability. But here's the problem. That's just the foundation. Value on its own is not enough, because organizations don't just promote people for doing the work. It's the bare minimum. They'll just keep paying you what they pay you for doing the work, because you're doing the minimum. They promote people whose value is visible, their value is understood, and their value is connected to business outcomes. This is where many careers begin to stall, frankly speaking. And this is where we see the rise of what I call the invisible high performer. This is someone who delivers consistently, solves problems, supports the team, keeps everything running, but you rarely communicate your impact. I know I've been there. I was once working as a business analyst and I would get my head down and do the job. And my boss called me one day and said, Femi, you never communicate how much progress you're making. You never communicate if you need any help. You never tell anyone anything. You just go into a dark room and come out and say, I'm done. And sometimes you bear the risk of even getting it wrong. But staying transparent, keeping people updated, shows that you are open, you can communicate, shows that you're a team player, and shows that you're bringing people along for the journey. So a lot of us tend to assume my work will speak for itself. But in reality, if your value is not visible, it can be overlooked. Not because people don't care, and trust me, they care, but because organizations are busy. Everyone is so busy focusing on delivering what they're supposed to that leaders don't have time to investigate impact. They just don't have time on a macro level or on a micro level. They rely on what they see, on what they hear, and what they recall. And this is where the second driver becomes critical, visibility. It's not about noise. We're not talking about being someone that always makes noise in meetings and makes a point for the point's sake. And we're not talking about self-promotion just for the sake of it. We're talking about being clear and intentional and communicating what you did, why it mattered, and what impact it created. You see, promotion starts before the role exists. Here is not a truth people don't realize. Promotions don't start when the role opens, they start long before, often months, sometimes years, because leaders are consistently observing within the organization who takes ownership, who thinks ahead, who influences others, who operates beyond their role. And by the time a role becomes available, the decision is often already forming because someone has already positioned themselves for that opportunity. And that brings us to the fourth driver, positioning. Are you seen as someone who can handle pressure more? Are you seen as someone that can just handle more? Are you seen as someone who thinks at the next level? You start to think critically, strategically, and someone who leads without the title, because promotions are barely given on potential alone. They're given based on evidence of readiness. Have you given enough evidence to show that you're ready for this role? And this brings us to the key shift. The difference between working hard and working strategically. Working hard focuses on tasks, deadlines, outputs. Working strategically focuses on value, which is impactful work, visibility, communicating impact, influence, shaping decisions, and positioning, being seen as ready for the next level. And this is the magic mix. When you combine these four, your career starts to accelerate. And when you focus on just one, you risk stagnation. There's one more driver we kind of haven't fully explored yet. And this is where many mid-professionals get stuck as well. It's influence. Many people excel at execution, but career growth requires more than execution. It requires contributing ideas, shaping direction, influencing stakeholders, challenging thinking, driving outcomes. Because basically, if you're waiting to be told what to do, you remain positioned as an operator. And frankly, somebody will tell you what to do until one day they tell you to just go. So you don't want to remain positioned as an operator. You want to be positioned as a leader. So influence is what transforms you from a doer to a decision shaper, to someone who shapes the direction of the organization. So when careers stall, it's not usually because people lack effort. It's because one or more of these drivers are missing. So let's break it down again. Strong value. Low visibility means you're overlooked. Strong visibility, low value, you're exposed because you're showing yourself out to the whole world, but you're not bringing much stuff in. Strong value with visibility and low influence, you're kind of seen as a doer. But all three with weak positioning, you're not trusted at the next level. So career stagnation, I'll just say, is rarely random. It's usually structural. There's a system to it. So if your career feels stuck right now, I want you to pause and reflect. Not on how hard you've been working, because 10 over 10, you're doing great work there, but on how strategically you're working. Ask yourself, am I creating value? Is my value visible? Am I influencing outcomes? And am I positioned for the next level? Because when you start answering these questions honestly, your career, my friend, will start to change. In the next episode, we're going to go deeper into one of these powerful ideas in career growth. Why you must become the leader before you get the promotion. Because the people who move forward are not waiting to be recognized. They are already operating at the next level. This is CareerLabs, and remember, your career growth should never be accidental. It should be intentional. Have a great week. Keep working at it. Keep focused and be intentional, and you will get the career you deserve.